Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and it's good to have everyone here thus far. And our topic today is going to be on self evaluation. And share the screen so that we can look at some of the thoughts that's going to be shared while we're talking. And bring it up to full screen on evaluating, and the power that it has. Anyway, here is a quote from Ernestine White whenever she was 22 years old back in 1933. And she said, "The world grows better because people wish that it should, and because they take the right steps to make it better." Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things in this world, and there's some things that are not so good. So anyway, in looking at the fact that because we wish it to be better, and the more we can help to make the world a better place as we begin to work with us and see who we are and what we can be. So here's kind of a dilemma. I'm sure you've heard this before. It's been around for a long time. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. That we, have a tendency to get into a rut. And I like to add to that, is it enough? Is that enough? Is it just keep on doing over and over and over the same old thing? Or is it looking at life in general with a new perspective? Instead of just looking at what you always see, what can we see that is different, not only about the world in general, but about ourselves? So here is just in building blocks. What we have been is an unchangeable fact, but what we become is an unlimited challenge. And that's available to every one of us to challenge ourselves and to so in going to that challenge, so hand me another brick, only let's make it gold this time instead of just building the brick. And let that brick help to build our character, our preparation for life in general, our persistence to keep on keeping on, and our ability to be influential. And then I love Shakespeare's. I just go by this so frequently and think about it. To thine own self be true. Well, first of all, we need to know who we are to be true to ourselves. To thine own self be true. And it follows as closely as day follows night. Thou canst not be false to any other man. And so when we really do self evaluate and get to know who we are genuinely, deep down inside, deep down in our wisdom part, deep down in our choices that we make, and that they're for the good of the whole, then we cannot be false to any other man because or to anyone else because it just doesn't fit that way. So here is looking at some benefits of evaluating as we kind of mark off, like the little boy here is, looking at the different benefits of evaluation, that we can challenge ourselves to excellence, that we can begin to, well, I did a pretty good job, but maybe I could do a better job. Um, Challenging our own self to excellence. And then in doing that, it lessens our dependency on others. If we're not willing to really step up and to do anything until someone else comes in to lead the way, uh, as we self evaluate who I am, who do I want to be, what does my life mean, then we can lessen the dependency on others. Now, that's not to be in a negative term by any means, but just being free to be who you really are. And that freedom is to be true to yourself, to be who you truly are. It promotes a healthy competition or a healthy, working together with one another. It encourages, as we self evaluate and know who we really are, it encourages within us a non judgmental judgment. And that can be that we can look around and see things that we are not doing our best for, but we can be non-judgmental of that. I know I can do better, and therefore I will step up to bat. But then also it's looking at others and whatever they may be doing. And we might can see some errors or some discords or some whatever, but we can look at that with a non-judgmental judgment as not judging the individual. It also, in evaluating who you are and knowing who you are, is a great de-stressor because, well, when you're true to yourself, then you're the flower. Then you are the product. You are the what it is to be, even though it may need to be a little bit more dressing up. It also can be a real good motivator as we look at who I am and what I want to be and what I am truly becoming. So motivation is to move forward. It's, kind of takes that inward to move forward. And so is it externally? Are we externally motivated or are we internally motivated? Well, if we're externally motivated, we have a tendency to be somewhat effective. If we see and hear and all this and things out there that we want to do and want to be, it can have somewhat of an effect on us. But it's always temporary, or it's pretty much temporary, because it's not that internal push, that internal drive that is pushing us forward. And if it's external, we don't necessarily know what the next statement will be or the next step, and it always must be topped. It always needs to be a little bit better. And then also it has a tendency to promote competition because, it's all these external motivators out here. And do we agree or disagree, or how can we get along? But as we begin to look at the fact that the truth is we are internally motivated. Now we have senses, we have five senses that are external. I mean, they're internal inside of us, but we use them to take in information from the real world. We use the things that we see, the things that we hear, the fragrances that we, are inclined to, the touches that we receive or give. These things they're the internal motivators that help us want to see what life is about. And these internal motivators, they are very effective because they're always, and as we look at these senses, but as we begin to look at how does that affect us internally, that it's an ongoing thing. There may not be a lot of fragrances to come through in any one particular day, but still that internal motivating is always there. It is a deeper satisfaction. And just looking at the somewhat what we want, or that it must be top, it's that deeper satisfaction whenever we are looking at what is internal. That is what we know to do. What is the right thing to do? What is the tone of voice in which to use in setting guidelines and so forth? And that internal motivation has a tendency to promote cooperation because rather than competing with each other. And it's realizing that everyone wins. As I can be true to myself and as you can be true to yourself. And that doesn't mean to be true to who you were born to be, created to be, who our DNA structure tells us that we can be. And so evaluating and motivating. We can have the self-management type of evaluation where the key word there is self. Keyword there is self. As you know, it's also looking in our own mirror to see whenever we are askew. It is also assessing and making measurements. It is being harsh on your behavior, but gentle on you. I mean, whenever you realize the fact that, boy, did I really mess up with this, or I'm late instead of being on time, or, sometimes you do something and you may want to beat yourself up. Well, go ahead and be harsh on your behavior. Mona, you can do better than that, so shape up, but be gentle on you because you are a person of worth and value. And then in learning to be that not only self management, but your own lead management, is that those that are around us, whether it's family or neighbors or coworkers, that we use the ask, don't tell, rather than, nobody likes to be told what to do, but as we can communicate and work with each other. And then holding that mirror up for self evaluation rather than, what all that you did was how can we work together as a team? Be a team player and a team leader, and be firm yet kind. And firmness, being firm, shows respect for yourself. Here's a boundary and you're not crossing it. But kindness shows respect to the person that you are helping or being a helper for or a lead manager of. So here's just some little thoughts on 5 thoughts on being aware of who we are and self-evaluating is awareness. And awareness is right this very moment. This right here is the only moment, the only second that is at our access that we can do or not do. And so it's being aware of rather than daydreaming of what's to be and regretting or looking back on what has been or mourning for, but being self-aware, awareness, and taking personal responsibility that we are responsible for who we are and the gifting of our gifts. And then to self-evaluate the real world, the perceived world, the quality world. How do we get mixed up in those different worlds? Self-evaluate, am I doing what I could do? Or is I'm doing what I think I can do? It's looking at, are we self-evaluating between our current knowledge and what we do know and don't know? But at the same time, it's being open to input. It's being open to what another has to say. It's being open to the differences so that we can begin to see how all of these things really fit together. And then also to add to lead, or to modify. And then to make plans. And in the plan making, we want to get a picture of what we're wanting to turn into or become or qualify or make an improvement on. And then looking at the likelihood of the success of that. And do we do it alone or is it with others? And then whatever when those dreams and those ambitions are there, to give up, work on it now and never give up. And in the process, working hard and all of that, keep it simple and yet specific. And then always, always be true to ourselves in that, get bottom line honest. If we need to make apologies, do. If we need to make rectifications, do that also. And some of the things that may block us from self-evaluating, and that would be to justify. Justify, well, I couldn't help. That's just the way I am. Well, maybe not. Maybe there's some changes that we could be there. Or also, we do not self-evaluate because we are wanting to rationalize things. It should be this way. Well, life has a tendency, and others have a tendency to be the way that they are. Or when we are in denial, or when we are dishonest, or when we are fearful and we won't step up to bat because we may not hit the ball. So it's learning to say no and feel good about it, to say no to the things that need to be said no to, and not take on everything, not say yes to everything. But no is a complete sentence. And so, you don't have to qualify it. You don't, doesn't mean to be rude or anything like that. Just thank you for asking, but the answer is no. And then also to say yes only for the right reasons. to say yes whenever you're qualified for it, to say yes whenever you have the time for it, to say yes whenever you have the desire to be a part of that particular thing, and self evaluate and say yes for the right reason. And then always measure the benefits on the scale, whether it's a no statement or a yes statement, kind of look at it on a 1 to 5 to see how heavy it would be or how light it would be or how beneficial it might be. And then evaluate the disadvantages, also kind of on the 1 to 5, the positive benefits as well as the negative benefits or the negative. And then always install a leveler. What's going to keep me balanced? What's going to keep me level? And that realizing that everything has a trade-off, that we do this, things are continually and always changing. And to truth or dare yourself whenever you begin to realize that this is repeat stuff and it's not really growing and it's not really benefiting and it's not really motivating. Ask yourself, haven't you had enough of that yet? And give it into that self-evaluation some ways. Asking yourself continually, what is it that I want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you really want? And that is hand in hand with reality therapy and choice theory. Not only what you want, but what do you really want? Because sometimes we can get those things mixed up. So here's a little graphic on chaos versus calm and evaluating us and being true to who we are. That pressure, when that pressure of life and what to do and what not to do and all that kind of stuff, when it becomes kind of discriminatory, then it's like we are on the bottom and all of the stuff is piling up on us. All of the demands, all of the promises that we've made that haven't yet been brought forth. And so it's just, we're just being piled upon. But whenever we can go with the calm, and here is my little stool, and that little stool is the thoughts we think, the actions we take, and the emotions that we, that keeps us solid, that keeps us a table. The stool or the three-legged has more balance for support than a four-legged table. And so when the pressure comes, when, whatever it's from, whether it's external, whether it's internal, whenever that pressure comes, we need something that will keep us afloat, keep us buoyed up, going back into the, so that here's the weight. And yeah, that weight is weighty, but whenever we are balanced, whenever we are intact, whenever we have, whenever we're true to ourselves, genuinely true to ourselves, then we have a platform on which to balance those weighty things. And so, as we finish up here, just the thought of Henry David Thoreau, and I just love this, so I'd like to share it with you. If one advances confidently, and we're talking about self-evaluating and continually ongoing, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with success unexpected in common hours. And self-evaluating and knowing who you are, think you can do it? Well, I think you can. And I thank you for being here, and many blessings.